Hey guys, so welcome to the second session, part 2 of our most recent discussion on the topic of cultivating self-love. So this is a really nice and fun topic because it's like totally relevant to everybody, and everything that it goes into and touches on is stuff that's really fun actually for us to work on and helpful, and it kind of like unlocks a door to so many things, our entire potential, changing our whole life and perspective. It's like so foundational and essential, and so yeah, I hope that you guys can connect with some of this insight, apply it into your lives, understand it, and feel free to reach out and ask me if there's any aspect of it which is not clicking or making sense, or you're not really able to integrate or understand, so I can personalize that and make it more accessible for you. Okay, so we touched on last week, we spoke about that, there's about 5 main questions, and the first one was who am I? Who am I actually? And we broke it down into 2 major categories, the soul and the body. And we started first on discussion of the body and everything that we need to know as a healthy foundation for a basis of developing genuine self-love, when it comes to first our physical identity, including discussing the body as a temple, how to take care of it in terms of health, diet, exercise, dress and adornment, discipline and maintenance, regularity, those kinds of things. And we spoke also a little bit about Dharma and Varna Ashram. So, what is your nature and your personality, and how to work with that, in a harmonious, natural kind of way. And we also spoke about the mind and how to rein in and discipline and control the mind. So, yeah. We did also touch on, what we were going to speak about today, which is actually more the qualities of the soul. So understanding our soul nature in order to understand how to develop a really genuine and real understanding and access of self-love. That's not just like superficial, but really, really deep and solid, and that's just gonna stick with you and carry you through, so forever, for the rest of your life. So yeah, let's get into that. We might just go over 1 or 2 things I didn't really clarify on last week, which was the false ego, which is also an aspect of our body. So the false ego is any idea which we have of ourselves, which is based on our physical self, which is based on our body. So that's from our body to our mind to the kind of intelligence that we have. That's actually the false ego. I am young, I am old, I am black, I am Hispanic, I am American, I'm Balkan, I'm Irish, I'm San, Aborigine, 22, 56, blood type Z, B, whatever. Those are actually not real aspects of who we are. That's a physical body, but that's not you. So everything which relates to this is actually part of the false ego. I bet you didn't hear it like that before, because it's a popular term amongst spiritualists, and especially New Age spiritualists these days. You have to get rid of the ego, and even in Buddhism they want you to kind of completely deplete yourself of the ego. But a healthy ego is understanding that I am the soul inside of the body, and what are the qualities of the soul, how does the soul operate, what is its natural state of flow and being, and that's a healthy ego if you can know that. So we'll get into that today. So There's a number of references in the ancient Vedic literatures which are explaining the qualities of the soul. As well, they explain the different mind states of people who are in different material states of consciousness, like the modes of passion, goodness, and ignorance, are also described in the Vedas. When we're kind of clouded by our false ego or external circumstances, not with a clear sense of identity or behavior. But when we're looking at the actual soul qualities, there's a really long list. So I'm just gonna start saying some of these things and see how you feel about them, because these are true qualities of your real identity. And a lot of these, as we spoke about last week as well, are more activated and come out more naturally when we're in a mood of service to the divine. So that is actually a very, very, what's the word? Integral, central, and important aspect of knowing who we really are and learning how to work with that and cultivate it healthily and positively and embrace it and love it. So really think about that, what it means to be in the mood of service to the divine, and this will activate your spiritual qualities. So some of those qualities are going to include, from one text, so one scripture we'll look at is the Bhagavad Gita, fearlessness, fearlessness, purification of one's existence. So having that impetus or that desire to purify your existence is a spiritual part of your identity. When you notice any of these qualities coming up in your being, you should love them. You should appreciate them, because that is going to cultivate genuine sense of self-love. So cultivation of spiritual knowledge, that's a natural part of our being that a lot of people are intentionally or unknowingly actually suppressing. Charity, giving in charity, feeling charitorious. Self-control. Isn't it quite popular for people to say, I just want to be free, freedom? A lot of New Age spiritualists also you want to just embrace that freedom, that inner freedom. Some gurus, even some popular kind of gurus, but self-control. Self-control is going to give you access to real freedom. Performance of sacrifice. So doing things in a mood of sacrifice, sometimes making offerings and giving and, releasing something in your ownership for a higher cause. Whether it's your time, you sacrifice your time in meditation, your money to something positive or to a spiritual cause, time in education to improve yourself, sacrificing something valuable or of your energy or your time or your possessions is a spiritual, pure quality. Study of the Vedas, so study of these really self-revealing ancient literatures. Austerity and simplicity. Cutie. Not being too opulent and luxurious in our habits and our way of life. Non-violence. Truthfulness. Freedom from anger. Is anger a material aspect of our being? Is it a part of our false ego? Pretty much most of the time, especially when it's centered around ourselves not getting what we want. Then usually, definitely it is. There can be impetuses for a spiritual or conscious kind of anger, but that's usually very projected, felt in a way to protect and others and religious or spiritual principles. Okay. Renunciation, tranquility, We all know that. Aversion to fault finding. Naturally feeling averse to fault finding. Compassion, obviously. Freedom from covetousness. Gentleness. Modesty and steady determination. Vigor. Forgiveness. Fortitude. Cleanliness. Cleanliness is close to godliness. Freedom from envy and the passion for honor. That is something we're going to also elaborate on in another session. Definitely will be understanding envy. Okay, so that's really nice. It's really nice to write these down actually and read them and cultivate or connect. These qualities are not something that we're like cultivating, like adding onto us. They're qualities which are naturally within us and that we just have to uncover, you know, especially through like meditation and self-discipline and things, you know, they've come out more. They're there already. So that the second set of qualities that we're going to look at as well are qualities which describe God, which describe the divine. There's so many names for God. Allah, Yahweh, Krishna. I don't even know all of them, but definitely there's kind of a lot of unanimous traits that we read across the board, and we can understand that all the most perfect qualities are resting in like the ideal divine creator. So here are some of the qualities of God as described in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, which is an incredible ancient literature also written, maybe not even that old, it's like probably around 500 or 600 years ago. So we'll read over qualities which describe God, and also qualities which describe God in a female form. So has a well-constructed body. Obviously the most ideal person in the whole of existence has that. Body is beautiful. We also have spiritual bodies. So when we leave this physical body and our soul travels out of this physical body into other realms, like into the spiritual realm and spiritual world and stuff, everybody has like such a unique spiritual identity. There's literally just one of you. There's no two of you or three of you ever gonna be, ever was. And everything about you is like completely just unique. There's only one of you, even though you have all of the qualities in minute quantity, same as, you know, God, and so do we all in each other. Still, everybody has a complete uniqueness, which is just incredible if you can understand what unlimited variety actually means, you know. It's kind of just a bit beyond our conception. Okay, so also very glorious, very strong. God always looks like a boy of 16, so very youthful. Well versed in various languages. We all have that capacity hidden within us somewhere. Truthful. Again, truthful. Truthful is just endearing. When a person is honest, it's actually endearing. A lot of the time people lie because they want to impress people, but honesty impresses people more. Decorated with pleasing words. That makes sense. Expert in speaking. Very learned. The most learned. Very intelligent. Influential. Everybody wants to be an influencer these days. Is it such a bad thing? Joyful. Naturally. Firmly convinced. There's another word for that? Conviction? Firmly convinced. Knows how to deal with different circumstances. I guess that's tact, right? Always conversant with scriptural injunctions. So always thinking about how to do things in line with the spiritual laws that govern everything. Clean, again. Controlled, okay. Steady. Not like all over the place, up and down, unsteady, unreliable, no. Self-controlled, again. Self-control is a spiritual quality. It's not a loser thing. Forgiving, again. Grave. Gravity, grave, because like, you know, it kind of takes an honest eye to know that like things are serious sometimes. Like there's a lot of bad things going on, and we need seriousness a lot of the time also, to just be real. Speculative. It's kind of natural to speculate. That inclination is there spiritually. We shouldn't depend on it too much though. Fair in his dealings. I guess you could say just. Magnanimous. Everybody has a capacity for magnanimity. Religiousness. A great hero. No wonder we love heroes. It's natural. Merciful. Mercy. This is one of my favorite things, like mercy. If you don't know what mercy is, you should just spend like an hour just researching that word and reading what different spiritual scriptures say about mercy, because it's a very beautiful and very deep and very important concept in spiritual life. Respectful. Yes. Competent. Gentle, again. Modest. Protector of all souls surrendered. The deliverer. Submissive to love. How perfect is that? Isn't that actually important? Shouldn't we all try and connect with our innate capacity to be submissive to love? All auspicious. So very, very good. Fortune, luck kind of thing. Most powerful. Famous. Ooh. Worshipable by everyone. Very attractive to all women. God is very attractive to every woman. Partial to his devotees. A little bit in favor of those who are openly acknowledging their loving devotion to God, are a little bit more partial to God, which means they get a little bit more favor. Wouldn't you want a little bit more of God's favor? Can you imagine what that would do in your life? Full of all opulence. So all of the most opulent things in the world are definitely God's things, or like divine, you know. Divinity is felt in opulence. It shouldn't be something we center around ourselves. It's kind of envy, you know, to just want to be in the center of like an excessive luxury, and it brings a long-term sense of dissatisfaction and unhappiness and fear, because the more possessions we have, the more fear we have of controlling and losing them, you know. So it doesn't actually bring a sense of peace or well-being to desire to have too much opulence. But there's a very, very kind of settled and peaceful and amazing feeling that comes with just associating all opulence like with the divine, with God in one way. You kind of really have to practice and put yourself in these states of mind to feel how uplifting they are. The supreme controller, so that's kind of relieving also, not to be completely responsible and in control of everything, you know, that there's a supreme controller. Possesses all honor. So these are really cool qualities describing God. And we have all of these qualities in mind. A completely spiritually free person, okay, all of these qualities can be perceived in a person who is completely spiritually free and situated in their original condition. And that's what it says in the Bhakti Rita Sindhu. And that basically means that original condition means like when we really understand that like I'm a servant of the divine energy. That mood of servant, even if you're a leader, to have that mood of servitude is the real full identity, is where it's unlocked. So that I found was a very, very beautiful, honest like truth. All these qualities can be perceived in a person who is completely spiritually free and situated in their original condition. We can get that from meditation. So some more qualities describing the divine feminine. She's very sweet. She was always freshly youthful. Her speech is charming. So you see, they're kind of similar things coming up. Expert in joking and speaking pleasantly. These are our spiritual qualities. Humble and meek. Not proud. Always full of mercy. Cunning. Not for one's own self, but in the mood of, service. Expert in executing her duties. So doing everything with kind attention and perfection and endeavor. Shyness. This is divine feminine energy. Respectful, always respectful. Always calm. Always grave. Reservoir of loving affairs in the spiritual world. So she holds it in her. She's just wealth of loving affairs in the spiritual world. So actually this meditation on, loving affairs in a spiritual way with other souls is a very, very spiritual quality. Very affectionate to elderly people. Very submissive to the love of her friends. Okay, so those are just some of the ones I'm going to touch on. And I really think it's really nice if, we can really connect with these qualities, because these are the qualities within us we have in minute quantity, a cute little quantity deep within us. So we want to really uncover that. And when we're thinking of trying to develop a sense of self-love, these are the aspects that we want to focus on, that we want to acknowledge in ourselves, that we want to acknowledge in others and grow and cultivate, which is not always like an endeavor, like I'm going to become gentle, but just by having this mood of service, directing towards the divine, engaging in spiritual activities, meditating, associating with spiritual people, these are naturally going to come uncovered, because our bad or materialistic qualities are falling away from healthier habits and association, if that makes sense. So yeah, that is one aspect of our soul nature. So secondly, what we're going to understand is that talk about meditation. So meditation is also a very important way to cultivate a very good sense of self-love, because it is in meditation that we discover all of these spiritual qualities within our being that we can fall in love with, and that we can start to see them in others and bring them out in others. So when we constantly practice meditation and we bring our mind to these qualities, we can meditate on these qualities as well in our meditation. And we can meditate on seeing them in a divine person. We can meditate on God and meditate on God through how he has all of these qualities, he or she, and spend, a sufficient amount of time regularly, daily, just pouring water on the root of ourselves and nourishing, this aspect of our being, reminding it, making this our daily thoughts and our daily habits, and manifesting that in our everyday reality. So we can, it's most important that we will develop a real sense of love that is not illusory or puffed up. Puffed up means like falsely proud on the wrong things. If we can really understand how meditation allows us to access these qualities, and we should do meditation which is kind of relevant. There are various kinds of meditation out there. There's so many on YouTube. I went through so many various phases of so many kinds of meditations in Asia, in YouTube, in CDs, in shamans, in all kinds of things. But really, there are different kinds of meditation which are recommended for different times in society, and we live in a very overstimulating, very busy, very vicious and fallen time where people just have no good qualities and behaviors. So it's very hard to do ancient kinds of methods of meditation. There still are some benefits, you can mix them up, but really the most beneficial and effective kind of meditation that is recommended according to the ancient literatures and a lot of actually ancient books, even outside of the Vedas, is connecting with sound form of God's energies and God's names. So mantra meditation, for example, it was my most effective kind of meditation. So meditation is very, 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 very useful and integral because it helps us. That's how we train our mind. That's how we train our mind out of bad habits and into good habits. So knowledge, also on the topic of knowledge, because understanding self-love, cultivating self-love on the basis of cultivating knowledge, which we also need. Some of that knowledge which we also need to cultivate includes understanding, that the supreme creator divine that's out there, that's kind of got our back, is really merciful and forgiving and loves you so much. It's not like a hard person that's just waiting to punish you, and that's more our karma and our material nature. That's not really God. And he or she is eternally patient, also really patient, been waiting for you, welcoming you, never ever gonna let you go, never ever gonna let you down for a very long time. Very, very, very long time. Just waiting patiently for you to come to this realization of what self-love is, very connected to him or her. So you should be secure here. Have this knowledge that you are very safe, that you are very patiently awaited and welcomed and adored and loved and forgiven and loved, and that you have a lot of security in this relationship with the divine. This will make you very, okay? So we can't really access these soul qualities. So the next aspect that we're going to look at that's important is how also things that affect how we access our spiritual qualities and these amazing qualities within us. Without discipline of our mind, of our senses, of our material desires, and of our lower natures like envy and greed, when we allow these things to take over and we don't have self-discipline over them, I'll repeat just some of them again: our mind, our senses, our material desires, feelings like envy and greed. When these feelings take over, they kind of delude us from what's really to love in ourselves, and they cover our real personality. So we'll struggle if we don't have control over things. It will increase our a sense of self-illusion, increase the false ego. It will increase feelings of dissatisfaction. All of those things will increase feelings of dissatisfaction. It doesn't mean that indulging in material desires increases your levels of satisfaction. Actually, it increases your levels of unsatisfaction. And it may even cultivate a sense of hatred within you. Because you just, like if it's envy, or greed, You just can't get what you want. You just can't have what you want. That's not yours. And you might develop a sense of hatred for yourself or for others. Like, we just don't want to cultivate those feelings. We just, easily avoidable. So, compassion is a very important tool that we can use in the basis of our relationships, and our feelings towards other people and situations, because compassion grants us access to our pure identity. It really does, because compassion is really kind of like a mood of service. It's really a mood of caring and putting yourself in the mood of service of being someone's well wisher, and 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 having sensitivity to things which affect us, whether we're like aware of it or not. So that will actually grant us access to our pure identity because it's in the mood of service. So act on compassion to develop self-love, because you will start to see all of your amazing qualities start to come up. All of your spiritual qualities will start to blossom when you act on compassion more frequently. Yeah, it will help you to develop and cultivate a very healthy sense of self-love. And everything I say, like, yeah, self-love, 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 it's important to be satisfied within yourself and whatever, like, just not to be too disturbed. But all of these things are going to help us to develop real love for other people as well, because these are the things that other people have in them. And when we also are focused on them, that we see it more, we cultivate it, our attention, energy grows where attention goes. So that focus will grow that energy in other people and situations as well, which is like really, really nice. So, yeah. We have to break our false identity, or self-love can't develop. So if you have a false sense of self, if you don't really know yourself, if your idea of your identity is rooted in something false, then you will never develop a really deep sense of self-love. Even if it's subconscious, it will be very shallow, it will be very timely and superficial. So it will never go deep, because false qualities are just not deep. Naturally, it will never feel true. It'll never feel genuine. So you might tell yourself that again and again and again. Like, I'm a warrior, I'm a warrior, I'm a warrior, I'm Dominican, I'm Dominican, I'm American, I'm American, I'm American. It just doesn't go deep. There's just something about it that, like, it just doesn't bring this deep sense of, like, wow, like, as it would be any of those earlier qualities, which I said, it's a much better feeling because it's real, actually. So, also, having a sense of false identity will also create pain later. It may create pain later because those qualities are temporary. Those qualities are actually temporary. So when they go, or when they change, and we're not so sure when the mirror is kind of glary, then that basis is gone, and that might create a sense of loss and pain. Even in others, if that is our attachment to loving others, something on their false identity, then, when it wavers, when it doesn't serve us in our favor, when it creates senses of envy and things, it will create pain and suffering. So there's just that those feelings just don't come up over our real spiritual qualities. They're always endearing, and it helps us to always be well-wishing to other people. So also, a very important point gathering all of this information is that we should love ourselves as a servant. We should learn how to do that. Learn how to love ourselves with this identity of a servant. Learn how to to apply that service propensity in the right way. Don't apply yourself in the mood of service to the wrong things. Like, for example, as I said, too much to your mind, your senses, material desires, envy, greed. You apply yourself in service to your greed. You feel greed and you act on it. You feel envy and you act on it. You feel a sense of false ego puffing up and you act on it. Don't be in service to those things. You see someone that you're envious or jealous of, and you try to serve them because you think somehow that's going to grant you access to the things that you're envious of in them. Do not act on these things. Act in the mood of service to your good qualities. Act in the mood of service to good things, to God, because God's always going to reciprocate with you positively. Definitely. Act in the mood of service to things which are good for you. Maintaining your health, acting compassionate and charitable to people, being of a positive impact in your society, repairing, helping to contribute positively to the environment, whatever, to people that are needy in a positive and a loving way. Even if you're a leader, like a leader is not someone who's like, I'm the boss, I'm in control, and that's a healthy sense of leadership. No, a leader is a servant of everyone under them. They're the ultimate servant of everyone under them. That is a good king. That is a good government. That is a good leader. So think about that. Think about how that would go if our governments saw themselves as in service to the community. Would we have corruption? Would we have potholes? Would we have money guzzling? Would we have people living on the streets? Would we have bad industries? Would we have hunger? No. Yeah. So this is a lituation. Okay, so the next topic, I really was having interactions where people can ask me questions and bring up points. But anyway, so I hope that you're not sick of my voice. But anyway, so the next thing we're going to discuss in terms of cultivating a healthy sense of self-love is how we look at goals, okay? So this is also important because goals are helping us to gain trajectory, to progress into better things, better spaces, and grant that to others as well. So goals. Our goals should be realistic and accessible. I did mention this in the last session as well. We don't want to put so much pressure on ourselves that when we perceive ourselves failing, that we develop a sense of self-hatred or condemnation or lack of self-belief, lack of motivation, and we just end up like crashing or something bad. So make your goals realistic, make them non-envious, make them accessible for you, and just start small and grow from there. Okay? So we don't end up developing a sense of self-lack. There are healthy senses of self-lack as well, when it's like, these are the qualities I'm lacking, I can work on. I need to be more gentle, I need to be more determined, I need to be more regular, I need to be more self-controlled. Good, that's okay, but not like I'm useless and I can't do anything and I'm a hopeless case. Like, that is just unproductive thinking. So also we need to nourish our spiritual and our godlike qualities in terms of our goals. Our goals need to nourish our spiritual and our godlike qualities. If our goals interfere with our spiritual qualities and destroy them and bring them into qualities of our lower or material nature, as I said before, envy, greed, aggression, violence, of too much emphasis on the false ego, the bodily consciousness, great sense of dissatisfaction, increasing dishonesty and a cheating mentality, whatever it might be, then we should readjust our goals to align more with our spiritual qualities, things that help us cultivate truthfulness, determination, cleanliness, etc., etc. Make sense? Of course. So we also should align our goals with high principles and values, and usually the best ones of those come from, like, spiritual values. Those, like, for example, the ones which God has given in so many different cultures and religions are a good example. Do good unto others, do unto others as you would do unto yourselves. Follow the laws of the land. Produce and do things in such a way that you're following the laws of the land. That you're giving in charity, that you're making that accessible, that you're doing enough sacrifice, you're making offerings People make offerings to their ancestors, to gods, like, there's this mood of offering, and it's a very good thing. When there's a celebration, you offer. When you have a child, you have a party and you serve people. When you have a wedding, you spoil your guests. Making sacrifice and giving is a very good spiritual quality to have. So cultivate your goals and your lifestyle in line with making those things accessible to you. And meditating as well. Don't cultivate your lifestyle and your goals in such a way where you're not going to have access to that in your form, which may be prayer, which may be going regularly to a temple, associating with a very spiritual person, reading spiritual literatures. Cultivate time for that in your lifestyle. And be interested in social welfare. It might not mean just doing a bunch of like charity physical things, giving blankets and food and things, but it might just mean being a person who is good, as well. You don't publicly break the laws, you don't support illicit industries and involve yourself in illicit activities. Um, you are cultivating good behaviors in how you treat people, your family members, those close to you, so that they cultivate good egos and good ways of treating others. These all things contribute to social welfare. Environmental impact, not supporting bad industries, cleanliness, social cleanliness. So hopefully your goals are in line with that as well. And there's 3Ds. 3Ds. 3Ds that you can remember in terms of when you're making goals. So dedication, discipline, and determination. This is things, the attitude the attitude that you should apply to pursuing your goals and creating your goals. Dedication, discipline, and determination. Don't give up. Don't give up on your goals. So, and apply that to attaining them. Inspire yourself regularly. Find things regularly, weekly, daily, which inspire you to pursue your goals with the 3Ds. And this will also improve your self-confidence. Okay, so you'll be very happy with yourself when you can do this. So just go for it. Okay, and also additionally, in terms of understanding our soul nature, discipline is important. And I said this a few times. But other areas in which we can also have discipline is like developing the mental habit to pride ourselves in moral integrity in the service of others. So pride may be there. There may be a tendency towards pride, which is not usually a good quality, especially when it's seated in things which are based on a false ego. But if we can shift that feeling of pride to things where it's productive and healthy, it's like if you have pride in having integrity, moral integrity in the way that you serve others, and you can regulate yourself like that daily, that's great. That's really great. If you don't have someone behind you backing up, like, I'm so glad that you were just honest in that difficult situation and it just brought so much light, and everyone was able to just, heal up, whatever it might be. Having moral integrity in the way that we serve others is like so important. So develop that discipline. Like, we don't want to be people that cheat. We don't want to be people that cheat others. We don't want to be people that gossip about others. That comes from a very poor sense of no moral integrity. So yeah, you can also have pride in healthy discipline, for yourself. Like, be proud if you didn't overeat, you exercised enough that week, you did what was good for you that week. You read your affirmations, you meditated, you hung out with good quality people. Give yourself a boost, give yourself a tap on the shoulder for that, so that you're motivated to keep doing it, so that it's in the purpose of serving something, not just to have pride, but it's kind of a little bit of healthy, productive pride. in managing, so this is a positive ego. This is like a positive, healthy ego, you know? You can have pride in managing and balancing yourself, which I kind of said, and your needs in sufficient moderation. So when you don't over or underdo things, you can also be happy about that. You know, you're proud in being equiposed. I guess you could say that's equiposed. Um, and when you have that, then you can kind of track your progress. You know, you will be able to track your progress when you're aware of your levels of self discipline and how that's going for you. Because you'll be able to see when things are getting easier or more difficult, certain kinds of disciplines. And when certain kinds of disciplines become more easier, then sometimes that's an indication that you're making progress in something. Sometimes, you know, developing a higher taste, for example. Like it might be so hard to cut out something that you eat that's bad for you in the beginning. Your cravings are insane, you're grumpy, da 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 da. But that discipline is maintained with the 3Ds: dedication, discipline, and determination. And then after some time, it becomes easy. And then after some time, you start feeling the fruits and the benefits of that, you know? So you can be proud that you were equiposed and balanced. Stick to your spiritual qualities, love will develop. So you can also have that, you know, focus on your spiritual qualities. Don't focus on your bad qualities so much. Be aware of things that you need to be careful of, you know, that you do, but focus on your good qualities and the counter good qualities to your bad qualities. And you will also start to develop a healthy sense of appreciation for yourself. And focus on drawing that out of others. I've said this a couple of times, but you know, it doesn't help to be fault finding at other people. Obviously, we have to have a healthy sense of discrimination and be able to see things as they are. But still, even when you're enemies with someone, be able to know their good qualities, be able to know where if they nourish those qualities they could grow, and wish that upon them, wish the circumstances upon them that those good qualities in them could grow, and that they could grow out of their bad qualities. Or sometimes an enemy is not even someone who is a bad person, you know? You guys just became enemies by circumstances, whatever. Wish them well. Wish them well. Wish everybody well. You will be so peaceful. Okay, so the last thing that is really important that I want to discuss on the level of the soul, okay, guys, when we're cultivating a sense of self-love, is respect. Respect, respect. Respect is not something which you demand from people. Respect is not something which is only owed to you. Respect is something that's integral in everybody and that everybody needs to practice cultivating towards other living entities, towards certain spaces and circumstances, and towards other people. Respect is something which uplifts and waters our relationships for the future. Okay? When people feel respected in relationships, it's a boost. It's a boosting vibe. It's a boosting vibe, and it nourishes future interactions in those relationships. It sets a very healthy foundation, you know, for people to be enthusiastic to engage with you, to serve you, to help you, to compassionate towards you, and to respect you back. So, love and respect other living beings to also feel well situated in this world and to feel grateful in this world. You know, because it takes a kind of mature vision. Hold on. Okay. So it takes a kind of mature vision to feel well situated and grateful. You know, just make yourself feel well situated and grateful. Whatever circumstances you're in, take some time to think about it. I'm well situated. I'm grateful for this situation, because that will show you faith in what God gave you in that moment, and you will be able to bring out the best of you in that moment. You know, it will benefit you so much. So yeah, Loving and respecting other living beings helps us feel that, helps us cultivate that, because we will, that respect gives that space for us to see God's hand in something, and not act out of a lower nature, anger or something. I hope that makes sense. Also, in one sense, like if we just think about karma, like I said earlier, do unto others as you would like done unto yourselves. Respecting people goes a long way in when it comes back to you. So respect people, because otherwise it will come back to you negatively when you don't, in one way or the other, or even from that person, because there's a living God in everybody's heart, and we should respect everybody, because it's like, I don't want someone to disrespect my child. I would be very angry if I found out someone disrespected my child, So the divine creator of everyone here also feels like that. And sometimes we forget that someone is God's property, is God's child, and we disrespect them, and we forget that God is behind them. And God doesn't like it. So whoever's dishing out karma, it might come back to you. Just don't create that situation. Respecting others also gives them a sense of self-worth. That's really nice. That's really nice to have a positive impact on other people, because we're like so focused all the time on ourselves and what we need to develop and how we're feeling and our needs and da 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 da. But do we think about the impact that we have on other people? Do we think about that? Do we think about, even in the small things we do that we don't know, am I having a good effect on the people around me? Am I having a positive impact? Why don't we have a desire to be like that? That's compassion. That's like a natural thing that people are just suppressing. Don't be so selfish. Like, respect other people and be grateful to know that you are helping them cultivate a sense of self-worth just by respecting them. That's really nice. Like, that makes me really happy to know that someone has a healthy sense of self-worth. So I hope we can care about people around us in that way. You will also learn to respect integral parts of yourself when you respect others. It will reflect in healthy self-respect, respecting others' boundaries, respecting others' moods, energy levels, sensitivities and emotions. When we do that for other people, when we respect other people, then we learn how to be respectful to ourselves as well, and we learn healthy boundaries. So respect also gives us very healthy boundaries, and it waters our sense of self-love to have healthy boundaries. Healthy boundaries water our sense of self-love. Boundaries is a part of self-respect and self-love. What do I mean by boundaries? Controlling your emotions. Have boundaries that you set, that you don't cross them. No circumstance, no person, no disturbing element in this creation can sway you from maintaining and controlling yourself on that boundary. Controlling your association. If someone is a total disrespectful person, if someone is a total energy drain, if someone is, putting a lot of bad impressions on you, making you cultivate bad habits frequently, whatever it might be, put a boundary there. Put a boundary there, a healthy boundary that's respectful to you and that person as well. Boundaries on controlling energy giving and physical interactions. So we need boundaries there. Everybody needs boundaries on physical interactions. Everybody needs boundaries on energy giving. Be realistic. Don't deplete yourself or your things that you need to keep going, to also stay positive and giving. And respect other people's boundaries with that. Don't demand too much from people that they can't, It's also important to have some physical boundaries. It is. Like, example, between boys and girls, you know, at certain times, like, if you're in a relationship, you should definitely have physical boundaries with yourself and other women or boys. You should definitely have boundaries in your own relationships, at stages, time, get to know each other. Don't just have no physical boundaries in the beginning of a conjugal relationship, and a person just learns to exploit you physically for enjoyment, and they just look past your personality, your compatibility. They kind of take energy from you. Like, have healthy physical boundaries and be comfortable with that. Some people just don't like to hug everybody all the time or be felt up in certain ways. That's good. That's okay. Have that boundary. Be confident in the way that you respectfully instill that boundary. Don't let people cross that boundary. And in your dharma and your work, have healthy boundaries as well. Don't deplete yourself. Don't go so far into other people's areas of work that makes you feel unhappy and dissatisfied. Kind of know what your capacities and your limitations are, and where your influence and your energy input is positive and productive, and stick within that, because it will have a better outcome for everybody. Boundaries and keeping a balanced lifestyle. This is like really what we spoke about a lot in the beginning. If you need to be able to meditate 3 times a week and bathe every day, and your work or something is getting in the way of those basic healthy boundaries, readjust your work so that you can have those healthy boundaries back, because you don't want to burn out or just crash out in the long term. So you need some healthy boundaries in keeping a balanced lifestyle. A balanced lifestyle will help you sustain and will help you stay in a healthy state of mind, that you won't just tweak out later. That you need a certain amount of sleep, that you need a certain amount of food and water, you need a certain amount of social interactions, you need a certain amount of meditation, you need a certain amount of time to maintain cleanliness, and you need a certain amount of time to put yourself to positive activities like work, not just sleeping or something all the time. Okay. So, yeah, I think that's quite enough for today. I think those are very important qualities when we're looking at the self in terms of the soul, remembering all of these things. So we'll just go over what those topics were again. Knowledge. Have the right knowledge. Know about God or the divine. Know about meditation. Meditate. Understand how to have healthy goals, how to set them, how to stick to them. Remember the 3Ds. And know what discipline's value is in connecting with your soul qualities and loving yourself and having a positive, healthy ego and respecting other living beings. Those all lead us down into the soul, and when we get to the soul, real love develops, because that's where real love is seated, and the soul is like made of bliss and knowledge, and there's just an outpour of love and service that can come from that. And remember from this first session, love is service, and service to the divine. So serve your positive qualities, give time to it, give time to the divine, give time to developing a healthy sense of self-ego, being compassionate and respectful to other living beings, having self-control, healthy boundaries, And all of these things in the long term will set you on a very nice foundation for cultivating self-love and cultivating love for all of the other living beings in this world. That's real and deep and not shallow and fake and based in the false ego. So that was really fun. And I hope you guys gained something from that. If there's an area of this which you would be interested on me elaborating on, let me know. And if you have any doubts or confusions, let me know. If you would like any links to the sources from which some of my information comes from, let me know. Or if you would like to speak to any of the teachers that inspire me in what I say, let me know, and I will connect you with those sources. So all the best to you developing those qualities from every culture or religion or space or background you're from. Remember the value in meditation. Let me know if you would like to be connected with a local meditation techniques or center around you, or things that you can do at home to cultivate this. And I will be very grateful and happy to help. Okay.